You're listening to the Healing from CPTSD podcast. My name is Justin Vanderwind, and I am your host. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how CPTSD almost destroyed my life. If you haven't done so already, be sure to visit our website at healingfromcptsd.com and sign up on our email list for regular updates, a free weekly newsletter, as well as to be first in line for the launch of the Healing from CPTSD course. All links will be in the description below. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Healing from CPTSD. My name is Justin Vanderwind, and I am your host. So it's good to be back with you guys again today. I just wanted to give a quick update real quick on this Healing from CPTSD course. It's coming along quite nicely, and I'm ahead of schedule as far as, where I thought I would be at this point in time. So it's going to be launching pretty soon, really, really soon. I would definitely within the next couple of weeks. And I'm really excited to share it with you. I've been having a lot of fun creating it. I'm telling you, man, it's when someone says they have a course coming out, it takes more work than you'd think. You might know the material, you know what I mean, of whatever you're trying to create, but it's when you're trying to create videos and audio and written things, it takes a lot longer. Well, there's a lot more involved than you would think. So it takes some time, but my course is almost we're rounding the bend here. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. And so because the podcast is called Healing from CPTSD, so I really wanted, I didn't want to talk too much about how to heal from CPTSD in the podcast before we got to the course itself, because the course is really about doing that, right? Healing from CPTSD. So, that's the kind of the plan here. So, in today's episode, I kind of felt inspired to just share some more of my own experiences and feelings having CPTSD. The title of this episode is CPTSD Almost Destroyed My Life. And really, it did, up until the point where obviously many of us have suicidal ideation, as they call it. That I just, I was a strong contender with that. Like I just wanted my life to be over, right? I just honestly kind of want to speak from my heart on just my own experiences and sort of like sharing with you, what my experiences with CPTSD is like. Everybody might have different experiences, but my God, for me, I just can't believe, once I started reading books on emotional abuse, forget about CPTSD, just emotional abuse and what healthy emotional, or rather what emotional health really is, what's normal for people to be able to experience life on an emotional level. I just couldn't believe the depths of emotional just devastation that I had gone through, not only experienced at the hands of my narcissist, but everything I had to deal with. And you got to understand, I know I always say this, but I'm a survivor of a narcissistic mother, right? So I grew up like this. Like my nervous system was just always, I was just shell shocked. You know what I mean? Just completely and totally. Forget about walking on eggshells. I mean, that was part of it, but it was like just constant. It was just like buzzing electricity, like constantly going through my nervous system. I was just constantly terrified, constantly on edge. And the only way for so long, I didn't know how to verbalize what I was feeling. And that was terrible for me, but it was also terrible for anybody I tried to have a close, intimate relationship with. It's like I wanted connection with somebody else, but I didn't know how. It's like my brain was, the part of your brain that's allows you to have intimate, authentic, emotional connections with other human beings. Mine was like fried. It was just kind of like broken and damaged to the point where it's like, it was almost like something I couldn't do, right? Emotional. I know that might sound weird to some people, maybe you if you struggle with CPTSD, may be able to relate to what I'm saying here, but we all know there's certain people with like different sort of like handicaps, right? Some people are blind, they can't see. Some people are deaf. Some people, maybe they lost their limbs or their legs or something and they can't walk. There's certain things that everyday people take for granted as far as being able to do that some people in this world just can't do, right? And it's quite a hindrance, right? Depending on what it is. CPTSD to me is just another form of this. But because it's invisible, we don't, people like us that have to struggle with this don't get the help or the recognition or the acknowledgement that other people do, like if they have a physical thing going on. So we just kind of get kind of ignored, kind of brushed off, pushed to the side, overlooked, and we're not only suffering, but there's so many aspects of CPTSD that makes it almost impossible to function day to day. And, emotional connections with others is a huge part of that. So I just wanted to share that I've lived my life I don't know, and I don't know if I'm the only one, or I always used to feel so alone with this, but maybe there's other people that really do understand kind of what I experienced. But I was just so frozen emotionally and so terrified just constantly. I was in a state of terror and anxiety that was so high on a regular basis that just living life was painful for me. Just being around other people where you don't know. You got to understand that someone could say, well, not everybody's abusive, right? Not everybody's a narcissist. And that's intellectual stuff, right? But that's sort of looking at it from an intellectual point of view. But if you grew up like that, you don't have your brain you literally don't. Someone could say that to you and you might even believe it, right? Sort of on the conscious level, but deep down, subconsciously, you don't have any idea who's abusive, who's not, what's going to happen next, right? So, being around a lot of other people it's just a horrible, terrifying, draining experience. And so you got to think of that, think of everything that, every aspect of life that requires you to be around other people. It's pretty much everything, right? School, work, friends, social stuff, all of it. And we're not talking about just a little nervousness here. We're talking it's called complex PTSD. You know what I mean? I mean, this is some extreme, horrible stuff. Your brain, your nervous system is, it's just wired and conditioned to see you're on a battlefield every day, right? Just everywhere, all the time. It's like those countries that are ravaged by war. That's kind of what it's like for someone who's growing up with narcissistic abuse on an emotional and psychological level. There may not be actual bombs going off or anything like that, but it's the same deal. Your brain, you're constantly hiding, you're constantly looking over your shoulder. You don't have any idea. It's a horrible experience. So for me, I got to tell you, it's just the anxiety, just the not knowing. I just felt like on an emotional level, it was just like a wall of ice inside me. It was just, I didn't know what to say. If I was going to therapists, I wouldn't know what to say, as far as what am I feeling? How does that make you feel? I had no idea. And I know that sounds weird or crazy or something, but you got to understand, I had no idea. It was almost like someone who just grows up in the wilderness or something, and there's just certain aspects of human experience that this person just has never experienced, right? So for everybody else, that might seem really weird or strange, but when you don't, you never learn what healthy emotional connection and relationships and really a healthy emotional psychological dynamic between people, almost like a network of humans, because that's what we're supposed to be, right? Networks, each individual, there's, we're an individual person, but then there's we can get together and have networks. For a lot of people, that's really easy to do and it's really enjoyable. But when you got to understand, when that experience, when you grow up with extreme levels of insanity and abuse and toxicity, and not just towards you, but just in general, right? I don't know about you, but in my world, it was either I was under attack or someone else was, or there was always some shoe dropping or somebody was fighting, just always. You know what I mean? And so your poor nervous, so you never see healthy relationships, you never experience them, you don't even know how to be yourself. And that was my main thing. And I don't know if any of you relate to this, but I swear to you, I did not know. Forget about being my real self. I didn't even know who my real self was. It just like in my brain, like I didn't. I just felt like constantly, totally overwhelmed by all kinds of just unbelievable levels of emotional. It wasn't only abuse. It was just such high levels of toxic emotions and all these different things coming at me. I just kind of felt like I was being hit by waves over and over again, and my whole life was just sort of like I was all like everything was always out of whack. Like I didn't know what was up, what was down. I didn't have a good footing for my life, or you know what I mean? It was just like constant chaos. And because of that chaos, I just felt totally insecure all the time, totally afraid. And my God, I can't I'm just thinking back like through my school days, and I'm talking like K through 12. I mean, I just can't. I just felt like my life was taken from me. I felt like huge chunks of my life I was like not present for. And it wasn't my fault. I just was like so on edge. I had so much anxiety. I didn't know who I was. I was dealing with narcissistic abuse at home, and my father was fighting people all the time, whether it was his wives or girlfriends or other people in the neighborhood. I'm not even joking. Like it was just like nonstop, all different kinds of fights. Like verbal fights, physical fights, cops. It just nonstop. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be, and I really feel bad about it. It's always been a source of like regret for me, even though there's nothing I could do. I was doing the best I could. But like when it comes to friends and girlfriends and dating, I mean, I just wish so bad that I had been able to be who I really am, and I would be able to connect with people for real. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have that like emotional intimacy, emotional connection. For me was just it was a terrifying experience. And I know I've said this before, but I didn't even know how to do it. My brain, my nervous system, that was a skill I just didn't even have. But the only experiences I had with emotional intimacy were, from my narcissistic mother it was just extremely painful. It was just extremely painful. And so any other time I was trying to have emotional connections with others, especially girlfriends later on, oh my God, I just couldn't. I would push them away, which I didn't like, but I just want to say, like, I did not want that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, I wanted the connection, and it was like I was in a double bind because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to stop the anxiety. I don't even know what to say. Like it was just like, pure hell, as I've said before. Is hell. I feel like hell is the only way to describe this stuff, But I can't believe, like, and then I would go to these workshops and stuff like that, and for emotional, and I would always get I was so frozen that even these people, like these emotional leaders or whatever, they couldn't. It's almost like I was something they'd never seen before, and I was like, God, again, like that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I'm looking for the answers, like, and if you can't help me, this sucks. This is terrible. Like, what in the world? And so, obviously, once I found out about emotional abuse and oh my God, the relief I felt, I just cried and cried and cried and cried. Like it's like I was finally able to unlock. And what really unlocked my emotional self was a pen and paper, writing about certain specific things. And that did it. That unlocked that gave me the ability to unlock what was going on inside my brain and to start to feel again. It was like a blockage, almost like in my heart area, And when I unblocked that blockage, I just felt like so much better, so much energetic. Like all that trauma, all the pain, all the insanity, all the anger and rage and sadness and confusion was just like built up inside me. So how was I supposed to connect with other people? And then it's like, because of this, like I can't tell you, I don't know about you, but I was such a loner. Like I was so afraid of others, but then other people, I had some friends and stuff, but, I never felt like it was okay to be me. You know what I mean? Like, I never felt like it was okay to just be who I am. I always felt like I had to put on some kind of mask or something. Or you know what I mean? And it was a very uncomfortable existence. It was very uncomfortable. And in my house, I wasn't really allowed to be who I am, primarily because the narcissistic abuse included tons of criticism and constant ridicule and put downs, and so they don't say, oh, you're not allowed to be yourself, but the subconscious message is you're not allowed to be yourself because you're just, it doesn't matter what you do or don't do, you're just always going to be ridiculed and put down and yelled at and screamed at and raged on. And so your brain is just like, oh, I guess it's not okay to be me, or I have to hide myself or protect myself or something. So that's how I lived my life. Like I was someone who was very frozen, very shut down, very just constant terror. Honestly, like looking back, I was just terrified all the time. I just grew up in terror. You know what I mean? Like it was just like nothing but terror. And, so, I mean, this wasn't just an unpleasant experience. I mean, I'm sharing this with you from my own experiences and stuff like that, trying to paint, what my experiences were, what it was like through my eyes and my just general experiences with this stuff. But it really, I mean, I can't believe how, forget about suicide, right? Like, I mean, that's like literal, your life literally being destroyed. I mean, I really feel that being pushed to that point is, I mean, that's a huge, I mean, because I was pushed to that point because of the narcissistic abuse. And I know that's hard. You're probably going to understand that. A lot of people, it's just like you're abused and hated so intensely and so regularly that you just wanted to die. That's my experience. That's why I wanted to die. It was because of the abuse, the chaos, the trauma. I just wanted it to be over. It was like it's like you're being tortured, and at some point you just are like, just please, just kill me. I just want this to be over. Like I don't care about anything anymore. It's difficult to function. I mean, I can't even. People think I'm weird and strange and stuff because I'm not. I'm not whatever I'm supposed to, whatever normal, like whatever normal is. I wasn't doing a good job there, but just it's just so much pain from everyone. Like even if they weren't narcissists or they weren't doing it consciously, like it was just like even more rejection and put downs, and you know what I mean, like just all the time from everyone, and so that just added into it. And luckily, I was someone who was conscious enough, and to look for the solutions, to look for the problems that were going on within me, and to actively try to solve those problems. Because I get it. Like I could definitely see someone going through what I went through or what you went through, and then growing up, and they just completely continue this cycle of abuse and toxicity that they got from their parents and they got from their parents and so on and so forth. Or just because you don't know what to do, you don't know what's happening, you don't know how to process this. And, again, when I was trying to go to therapists, nobody knew what CPTSD was. I keep hearing about these people that have said like, oh, I'm diagnosed with CPTSD, and it brings me a lot of relief because apparently it's out there now widely It's out there enough so that people can actually go to a therapist and talk about CPTSD and get some help, or at least some acknowledgement of what they've gone through, right? So I'm happy that seems to be the case. That wasn't the case for me. And so, it just kind of added into me feeling completely, I didn't feel alone. Do you understand? I was alone. Like, I absolutely was alone as far, I was just constantly under attack, right? And rejection and ridicule and put downs. I mean, when these kids snap in school and stuff like that, and it's no mystery to me. Like, I don't even know if those kids, a lot of those kids who just go bananas and go on some kind of crazy shooting spree, I never felt like doing that. But I definitely can sort of relate to feeling like you just hate everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to kill everybody, but I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, I just, that was going on inside me for sure. And so once I started doing some emotional processing and some emotional work, and I was able to sort of like connect, like I swear to you, like that movie, I forget what that movie's called with Helen Keller, where she's like, I don't know if it's just called Helen Keller, but you may know what I mean. It's like an older movie, and it's sort of the story about Helen Keller, and she was like, I think blind and deaf, and then, eventually, like towards the end of the movie, she has this experience with her teacher where it was like she makes that connection that water, like the word water and her experience of water were one and the same thing. She has that like aha moment, because before that she didn't know. She didn't have any, her life was like chaos on the inside. And I really related to that because that's how my life was. And I'm sure it probably was for you too. Just so much inward, just chaos. Like there's no like rhyme or reason for anything. And once you learn about this, and so for me, that analogy applies to knowing what my emotions are, like learning about narcissistic abuse, learning about CPTSD, but also learning to make the connections between, like on an intellectual level in my brain and what I'm actually feeling at any given point in time. That was very helpful for me, because then I knew how to verbalize in any given situation what my feelings were. Because before that, I was so shut down, and so everything was so suppressed that I didn't know what to say. Like I couldn't access it. That was the hardest part too. It was like, again, the wall of ice. I just felt like, honestly, I just kind of felt like I had to keep chipping away at that ice until I got to a point where like it started, I made some progress, right? Like I broke through, I guess, literally. But my God, that was so hard. It was so hard to do, and I just can't believe, I can't believe anyone would have to go through something like that just to connect with themselves, just to feel okay, right? Like just to feel like you're loved and you're worthy. And once I made the connection of like how to do self-love and self-soothing, I was like, my God, like I never got this from anybody. You know what I mean? Like everyone just hated me. It was horrible. It was, and it was, I don't know. I just, I went through so much pain, but I also, I'm so, I guess, mad and angry at how much was taken from me, and how many people I came across that just, the relationships just didn't work out, even with friends. Like, man, I was an isolator too. Like there were times where I would just like isolate and shut down and sort of like wall myself off from everyone. But that's, looking back too, that's what I needed to do personally for me. And listening to a lot of these therapists and doctors online who know what narcissistic abuse is and CPTSD, that's what they recommend anyway, right? Like once you get away from your narcissist, to take some time by yourself and allow yourself to sort of reconnect with yourself and process what you actually went through, instead of, because so many of us, there's so many people that use relationships and even just friendships, just people, as sort of a way to not look within themselves. You know what I mean? Like they use it as a distraction. Those people that are like constantly having to be out with people or doing something, or they're just like, I think it's because they're uncomfortable with, not everybody, but I think there's a lot of people that don't want to look within. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to process what they've actually felt, or get to really know themselves. They just want to be part of like a nonstop social world where they can, I guess, be somebody else. I don't know. That's always what socializing seemed to me. It was like just a world where everyone sort of puts on a mask and is like, I don't know. Like I don't know. It was always really weird for me. I'm not the best social person in the world. I can have conversations and talk to people and stuff, but like I don't know, like a lot of social stuff and drama and stuff. I just don't even really know how to do a lot of that stuff. It doesn't really make any sense to me. So I'm a solitude guy, but yeah, it's I just can't believe how much of my life was taken from me, and I can't believe how many other people are out there walking around that know what I've gone through. You know what I mean? Like that. It's like people are like, "Oh, I have CPTSD." I'm like, "Oh my god, do you know what I have been through? Like, do you know what I've experienced? Are we the same? Like, because my god, I felt like I had to live this like double life, right? Like, you have to like be somebody specific out in the world, and then there's everything going on underneath the surface at home and all this other stuff that you're trying to deal with. I never felt whole and integrated, right, with just myself. And I just wish I had been able to be that for people in my life, and just for different friendships and different experiences that were taken from me as a result of being so shut down and isolated, and girlfriends and stuff like that. I don't know if any of you can relate to any of what I'm talking about here, but man, I was definitely just shut down. I was so disconnected. You know what I'm saying? Like that, that disconnect that people talk about with different criminals or sociopaths or something. Like I kind of can relate to that to a certain degree. Like because there was a time where I was very disconnected, but I was disconnected because someone else disconnected me from my, I never developed, right? I just chose not to. I don't know. I wanted to reconnect with myself. I didn't want to go down the path of darkness or whatever, like some of these serial killers, or these people that, because I can kind of relate to some of their emotion, that feeling of, for not knowing how to feel or not having proper emotional responses and stuff. I always like, I can kind of relate to that, but I just never, I don't know, I wanted the light. I didn't want the darkness. So I don't know. I can't relate to that aspect as a lot of those people, but I don't know. I feel so much better. I got to tell you, like after all this work I've done on myself, and the processing, and just sort of integrating with who I really am. And I guess the only thing I'm thankful for is the ability to start fresh, right? I talked about doing like a reboot with my life, and I can do that because I don't have kids or a wife or anything. So I guess that's some good news. I'm trying to look at the silver lining, right? And I know about all this stuff. So, oh my God, I can't imagine people that had to like go through this their entire lives, even into their 50s, 60s, 70s, and just nobody, they never got any help, or no one could help them. Oh my God, I know what it's like, man. I'm telling you, like, I know it's weird when someone else says like they can relate to you, or they know where you're coming from, but really, like, I do, I can't believe, like, it's one thing to throw words around like CPTSD or narcissistic abuse or narcissistic personality disorder, but to live these things, to experience them is like a totally different universe, right? Someone might see this term somewhere in some book or hear about it in some conversation, but if you haven't dealt with CPTSD and narcissistic abuse, it's like a different galaxy. It really is. It's like, and it's deep, and it's extremely painful and extremely difficult to deal with and to get through. Oh man, and I can't. I don't know about you. Like maybe some people have like made fun of you because you weren't like the best social person, or you didn't get out as much or whatever. Or I know different people sort of like have different experiences with CPTSD, but many of us have a significant difficult time connecting with others and really connecting with ourselves. And so we sort of need that downtime, and we don't know who's safe and who's not safe and who's going to go bananas and who's like, because all I can tell you is, growing up with that, for me, that's what human beings were, like narcissists, just crazy, like just totally crazy, abusive, horrible creatures, like, and who wants to be around that? You know what I mean? Like who wants to continue to expose themselves to toxic people or some other nut that's, you know what I mean? Like, then you've got to like figure out whether or not you're dealing with another crazy toxic person, or, oh my God, it's so tiring. I love to be by myself. I love it so much. And I don't think that's ever going to change too much, because it's the peace and quiet. You know what I mean? That's what I like more than anything. So yeah, it's and it's really helpful for me, believe it or not, just to be able to have this platform and just to be able to share with others who get it. You know what I'm saying? Even if we don't see each other like in real life or whatever, but it's nice to share in a place where people do get it, right? Like there's all these different 12-step programs, and sometimes not everyone in those groups knows what like CPTSD is. Some people might, but or narcissistic abuse. There's people in there that do get that, but that's not the main core reason of a lot of those groups. So it's like, again, you always feel kind of like you're an outsider or something, Oh man, but I'm telling you, I'm sharing these experiences with you. It's helpful for me to do so, but I want you to really understand too that you can heal. It's definitely possible. Like, you can get your life back, and that's nothing means more to me than being able to do that, and people being able to heal. I don't know what your position is, or maybe you've struggled a long time with this and you don't have any hope, but I promise you that you can undo everything that's been done to you. Your nervous system is far more advanced than I don't know anyone could possibly imagine. I don't even think neurophysicists or whatever, what are they, neurologists or whatever, like people who study the brain. I don't even think they have even tapped the surface of what we really are, and what our brains and nervous system and our being are really truly capable of. But you're far more powerful than you possibly can imagine. And when you experience that, when you experience your own inner power and your ability to heal, even all on your own, it's an amazing experience. And so that's a large part about me creating this course, is being able to share that with people. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about just more about how CPTSD has affected my life, and kind of what it's like to deal with CPTSD, but more about what my experiences have been. Again, just, oh my God, I just lived a life of such isolation and such inner like turmoil and anxiety and pain and just so much inner like emotional trauma. You know what I mean? To the point where coming out of this, it's like I'm becoming an expert in the emotional world or something, because it's like it's like everyone has an emotional self and like emotions and feelings and stuff, but not everyone's dealt with extreme emotional trauma and emotional abandonment and all that. So coming out of that, going through it, and then coming out of it kind of gives you this, like just this inside knowledge and awareness of sort of the inner workings of the emotional self and the mind a bit. And yeah, you become, I guess, a formidable opponent for anyone with any emotional nonsense going on, or any emotional manipulators out there. You'll see that coming a mile away eventually. So I'm really happy to be able to share this with you, and I'm really happy to be here with you, and to feel like part of a little community, and just all over the world. Even we can connect, even online, and kind of be like, my ultimate vision is to create like a little, people that are interested in being a little bit more like a kind of like a, they have masterminds out there. I don't know if you ever heard of this, right? Where it's kind of like a group of people that are really on their A game, right? Really intelligent, really, in different fields, right? And they all they get together and they sort of brainstorm and work together on each person's. You kind of go around and then everyone sort of like adds their mind and their expertise to helping that person, a particular person, with their goals or overcoming a particular problem or something. So anyway, I thought it would be neat to have a mastermind type of a group with people who have CPTSD, but also are actively committed to growing and to working on themselves. Because I know that it's hard. It's not easy to do. You got to be committed. There's sort of like the next level. It's one thing to have CPTSD and just you just kind of like accept your fate, so to speak, right? And I get it. Like, everybody's on their own journey, but I'm someone who wants to get out of it, and I want solutions, and I'm committed to that. So I just thought it would be cool if like there were other people that we could all connect together and become like a little mastermind for CPTSD or for support, and maybe kind of be like a little family sort of, but mostly support, and helping, and even the goals, right? Like, because goals are setting and achieving goals are, I feel, a big part of not only tapping into your own personal power, but a big part of taking your life back from the devastation of narcissistic abuse, right? So anyway, I just kind of wanted to share that a little bit with you today, and again, the course will be out much sooner than you think, and I'm really excited about it, because then we can start doing. I'll have more. It takes a lot of time to do, to work on this course, so I've kind of shut everything else down so I can work on it. But once it's finished, I'll have a lot more time to, do more videos, different podcasts and stuff, and maybe do some, interviews with other survivors and stuff like that. Just to create like a little community and stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.